Hey, welcome to X Vintage Tech. If you saw my last video, we were taking this computer apart and just seeing how much damage this little battery did. It was quite a bit. We are going to get the computer up and running today in this video, so stay tuned. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy seeing neglected computers like this get a second chance at life, please consider subscribing. Alright, here in front of me we have the remains of what used to be a 386 SX16. 16 megahertz 386 computer. Pretty straightforward, it's in the name. The problem with this is that the battery ate away so much of the board. It is repairable, anything's repairable, but this damage is pretty extensive. A lot of the traces are gone. I cannot find any schematics, and until I either find schematics or get this thing cleaned up and through trial and error get it working, I have to replace the board. Luckily, I was able to get a little bit of an upgrade. Here we have a 386 motherboard, a DX386, 33 megahertz, and it is basically the same footprint board. A little bit of an upgrade because it is going from an SX to a DX. The difference there being the 386 SX is a soldered on chip that you can't upgrade after purchase. The math code processor is replaceable, so at least you have that. Now the 386 DX is an upgradable processor, so if I wanted to go to a 40 megahertz for whatever reason, I would be able to do that. I have not opened this box since I got it. This could be full of styrofoam peanuts and only peanuts, and I got scammed. I hope not. I did get it off of eBay. The seller had very good reviews, so I am fairly confident that I got a good board here. Of course, there are peanuts in here, so I'm going to try to mitigate that mess. Let's carefully remove this. The board wasn't very expensive. It wasn't super cheap, but it wasn't very expensive. It was still less than what I paid for the computer that it is sitting on top of right now. And I believe that because it's an upgrade, it's going to be worth the price in the end. Let's get the box out of the way here. Normally I'd throw my trash in front of the desk, but I don't want to pick up a whole bunch of packing peanuts. Now my only fear in this is that this is not ESD bubble wrap, so it does look like it is in an ESD bag, so that's not so much a problem. Now this was very well packaged. I do have 4 extra SIM slots here, and I'm just going to transfer the RAM from this onto here. I believe it has 4 meg on board already, so I'm just going to be able to have 8 meg total. It is the same footprint, so that is nice. The pictures on eBay were very, very clean, so I'm hoping that that's true to life. Let's go ahead and get it out of the bag here, and I can finally have some good audio because I'm sure all the crinkling is just going great. All right, this is a very, very clean board. I believe this guy must have washed it. It has no dust, no fingerprints, no smudges, no scratches, no corrosion or anything on it. This thing is very clean. No math coprocessor. I can add that later, which is nice. That's not a big deal. Like I said prior, it is a 33 megahertz 386. I could upgrade that to a 40 megahertz with a heatsink. Don't really need to right now. I just want to get something that is running instead of corroding. All the ISA slots are very clean. So it looks like the keyboard BIOS is an AMI BIOS, as is the regular BIOS is also an AMI BIOS. The date codes on some of the chips here, let's see if I can find that. I see 1992, 92. So based on what I'm seeing here, this board was probably manufactured in 1992. Just a pretty educated guess there. Some of the other date codes here, 52nd week of 91. So yeah, we're looking at early to mid 92 on this. And like I said before, it is clean. There's no corrosion, no problems with this thing. All the capacitors look normal. There is a battery pinout here. No onboard battery, which is great because you see what that can do. As far as things I need to transfer from this, there is a little plastic nubbin here that I'm just going to pop off. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on here. All right, now that I've got everything I need off of this, I'm just gonna set it aside for now. I do wanna repair it eventually. I don't wanna just throw it out. Worst case scenario, I'll have chips I can pull off of this thing and put it on other boards. It'll be a donor board. Would be nice to get repaired, but I'm also realistic. You can buy these things for like $80 without the corrosion. So should I put, 20 hours of my time into this thing getting it to work, or find another? The nice thing about this board is the SIM slots have metal tabs, so I don't have to worry about snapping the plastic like I did in the old one. And as I was taking this RAM off, some of the slots were already snapped prior to me getting in there. So other people in the past have cursed themselves putting RAM in. All right, I'm going to slide this thing around. If you notice, this thing here is broken. I'm going to have to remove the power supply, take the screws out of the backside, and put this in. I was able to get this 3D printed. I'll share the link below on Thingiverse. This is a great little thing to print because so much of this plastic is very brittle and just breaks so easy. It's really nice that we live in an age where you can print your own plastic bits and pieces. I don't even think that was very common at government or university levels. I don't know when 3D printing started. I'm not a 3D printing expert, but that is something that was not really an option up until recently. All right, in order to get this thing in here, I'm gonna go ahead and slide the board in place. If you remember, the board slides into a couple tabs, and then it's just 3 screws across the center that hold it all together. I'm going to need to take the board out real quick, rearrange some of the screw studs. They don't line up perfectly, and I want to make sure this thing is not touching any metal on the back end. I don't want to destroy any of these traces. This board is too immaculate to be damaging by just installing it. So let's go ahead and carefully get that out. I'm going to have to line up all the little screw holes exactly where they need to be. Luckily, the screw standoffs are the exact size of my LTT screwdriver. I am still finding little broken pieces of the plastic switch all inside this thing. All right, I got the motherboard in there, a couple screws, and I'll be good to go. Now that I got the screws in, just got to find all the front panel cables. I can't go off the picture that I took before because it's a different motherboard. You know what's great? None of these cables are labeled, so I'm gonna have to go ahead and trace them back to the front panel. All right, I think I got the front panel connected right. I had to compare the old board to the new board and my photo, and fingers crossed. If it doesn't work, there's one I might have to reverse. There's one that wasn't covered on here. I don't know what that one goes to. I couldn't quite make it out of my picture because I didn't take enough angles. It might be the power light indicator, or it could be the part of the key lock. I'm not too sure. So might end up doing a little trial and error. Hopefully it doesn't cause damage. It shouldn't. We'll see. First thing I'm going to do here is get the controller card installed. Once that's in, I can plug in the hard drive, the floppy drives, the serial ports, all that fun stuff. All I'm going to do for now, just to make sure it works, is the video card and the controller card. Gonna grab a monitor. I'll be right back. All right, I got everything back together and I had a little trouble, so I'm going to walk you through what happened. It is not going to be ready today, but soon. The problem I'm having is when I boot it up with the VGA card installed, it does not turn on. It powers on, obviously, it just doesn't boot. So I'm going to show you real quick what it does when the card is out. So we get 8 beeps after the 2 initial post beeps, and that tells me that there's no VGA card installed, obviously. And when I put the card in, give it a second to completely power off, place the card in, turn it back on, no beeps at all. And that was with a monitor installed. I was trying it with a VGA monitor, and to no luck, unfortunately, it didn't work. So let's get this back off again. Now, the problem I believe is happening here, the VGA card does get a little warm, so power is going to it. It's not super warm, it's not abnormally warm. The problem is this might be an OEM card, and it might only work in a Gateway motherboard. This not being Gateway anymore because I replaced it. The problem I'm going to have now is I just have to get an ISA card that is compatible with this motherboard. Shouldn't be too much of a problem. I reached out to the Vintage Computer Club on Facebook, and luckily Justin Morgan, one of my viewers, is graciously donating a card. So I should have that card shortly. We'll get it installed, and hopefully this thing boots right up. I do have some plans for this thing. The hard drive does appear to be spinning up. It doesn't have the click of death or anything like that. Hopefully it still works. I would love to see what's on it. This did come from a university. It might be term papers, might be garbage, who knows? Might be blank. I have had some previous computers that have come from colleges that were filled with medical papers in this case. It was very interesting DNA stuff from the 90s. It's kind of fun to see what we were doing back then. And these are little time capsules. It's the closest thing I have to going out under the flagpole at City Hall and digging up what's in there. So this is my little time capsule from the early 90s, and I'd love to see what's on it. Before you go into the comments and tell me what I should have done, I have used different ISA slots to no effect. There are jumper settings on here that I've changed around to no avail. The zero weight state I changed back and forth. IRQ9 I changed. The VGA BIOS, I removed the chip, sprayed some deoxit in there, put it back in, made sure everything's clean. I have not replaced the capacitors. I want to test the card on another system first, see what's going on there. I do have an old gateway with ISA slots. Worth a try. We'll see what happens there before I call this thing dead. And I have removed the RAM, tried different RAM, moved that all around. I removed the IDE floppy drive serial card, tried it without that, no go on that, and that's where I'm at right now. The board that I did buy off of eBay, the guy said it was tested. I believe he's got very good reviews and a very professional looking eBay page, so I'm trusting it so far there until I get another ISA card in here. I believe it is going to be working soon. You know, knock on fake wood. Now, I hope you guys stay tuned for the next one. It's going to come in a few days once I get that new card. I'm going to pump that out as quickly as possible. I am also looking into getting a Patreon set up. These cards, granted this next one coming is being donated. I do have to put a lot of money into this, the motherboard, stuff like that, and you know, stuff like that can help. I want to make the channel as big as I can make it and still be relevant. I want to make quality content for you guys, and sometimes I gotta take money out of my own pocket. So looking at Patreon, I don't know what I'm going to offer there yet. I'm still in that planning phase, but I want to keep doing this, and I love doing this for the fun of it, and I want to keep going and finding new stuff to put on video, and that's where I'm going to go with that. I hope you liked the video. I hope you stay tuned for the next one. Like, subscribe, all that fun YouTube stuff, and stay tuned. Thanks.